You, along with everyone else in the OnlyFans game, has probably heard the same shitty advice about your social media content, and trust me, I'm not making this video just telling you that, oh yeah, the average human's attention span is 8.5 seconds. No, I'm here to genuinely tell you the psychological way to play the game of content correctly and create good content, as well as provide genuine frameworks and deliver as much information to you as I can without genuinely hopping on a consulting call with you one-to-one and tailoring your content to you. This is a fairly long video, but I do not apologize a single bit, because if you're really looking to improve your content monumentally, you're going to need to sit through this not once, not twice, but 3 times and really digest all of it. So take fucking notes. Stick around to the end of the video, because if you've been stuck with your content not progressing, I've figured out the easiest fix known to man to actually improve your content even further than the advice I've given here, and I've stuck that fix right at the end of this video, so stay around. Again, this is fairly generalized to every creator, so if you're looking to book a call in, literally go to the description and just fucking book in. It's that simple. And without further ado, how did I end up in this situation telling you about this viral content masterclass? Well, I've got to introduce myself first. How did I get into this situation? Who am I? Who am I to tell you this? The handsome man that you see on your screen right here is Glek Gun Jalandoni. That's me, founder of the High Table. Been at the OFM game for maybe just over a year now. I'm going great. I'll show you in a second. But growing up, I always wanted to be impactful and wealthy. Didn't know how. I just wanted those 2 words. I wanted to do something. There's a video of me at 8 years old being recorded by my mum's iPhone 3 talking about me wanting a Bugatti Veyron 16.4 for whatever reason. I thought it looked cool. I wanted it. I still want it. Don't have a Bugatti yet, but I'll get one. And that's an example of why your dreams should continue to be chased. But as I grew up, my dreams got more fleshed out, and now I just want to put smiles on the faces of the people that I care about. This goes from my family to my friends to you guys, the viewers, to the creators that we have at the High Table. All of you guys, I want to see you guys smile, but I can't make you guys smile without doing my job good. In other words, I have to make a name for myself and the High Table. Otherwise, how can I get those kinds of things done? So as I fleshed out my dreams, as I started chasing them, I went from this, you know, being the incompetent guy who didn't know anything about content. It's got the glasses. Clearly I don't have the glasses anymore, and now I've turned extremely handsome, right? Might be exaggerated, but still, the point is chase your dreams. The point is learn your stuff, right? But that being said, the High Table isn't my first business. No way is it my first business. I tried drop shipping clothes off of AliExpress before, very short lived, and it only lasted about 2 months, made no money. I tried trading Forex. It was more of a side hustle. It lasted 4 months, I lost a shit ton of money. I tried SMMA, maybe for like a year, 2 years. That was my first taste of trying and making content, but I had no clue what I was doing because I didn't have any sort of structure to it, and that's why it flopped and it never worked out. I'm not doing SMMA right now. I'm doing OFM. There's a reason for that, right? But when I did try OFM, it felt like money was falling from the sky. Clicking my fingers, money falling everywhere. It was great. Not because of my content skills though. That's a disclaimer. It's because of my pre-existing sales skills that I had before. From SMMA, I took on a bunch of courses and learned how to be a good salesman. But that's why I was managing to make money fall from the sky. I was lacking content, right? And when you have a business like OFM, you can't lack content skills. When you have OnlyFans, you can't lack content skills, no matter how good your sales are. So when I saw that my revenue was taking a dip, which eventually happens, right? My sales skills only took me so far. And once I started noticing a dip in my revenue, and that was purely because of my content skills lacking. I knew what the problem was. I knew why my revenue dipped. So I figured that out. And once I did, I just ran straight to learning, right? And that's what this video is a result of. I spent thousands learning how to fix the hole in my results through coaching, mentoring, watching YouTube videos, sitting down in masterclasses, just everything, buying courses. And I'm here to teach it to you completely for free. Completely for free. Thousands, just giving it to you on a silver platter, right? And after that, boom, we've got some results. They're not too bad, but this is a little taste of what you can do with some pretty decent content, right? And that's pretty much it. All you need to do is just lock in for this video, get a notepad out, rewatch it a few times, and you should be fine. Just really make sure to digest this, okay? I'm gonna go through the content of this course, this masterclass first. So we're going to go through the ingredients that go into viral content. So the bare bones, what goes into viral content, content ideation and batching, content after you record it, so post-recording, and the cherry on top, the thing that is going to help you even more than all of this stuff put together, the positive feedback loop. But you're only going to be able to make sense of this once you've gone through the rest of this video. So stick around, make sure to take notes, right? So let's start off with the content bare bones, right? The content bare bones are the things that you can add, mix, or match into your viral content. The reason why I call them bare bones is because you're stripping away anything regarding your branding, anything regarding your content structure, and just leaving the bare bones of the psychology behind effective content. You need to get your psychology down because the human mind doesn't change. So once you have your psychology down, you'll have good content no matter what. In fact, I can guarantee to you 99.9% of viral content implements one or more of these bare bone themes, and they might just be the reason why they work so well, right? So let's start off with universally understood themes. These are pieces of content that transcends race, religion, culture, language, you name it. You could show the video to someone from America, Mongolia, the Philippines, Colombia, it doesn't matter. They'll understand it and they'll have the value from the video. Khaby Lame is a good example of this. He uses humor to be universally understood, and even though he doesn't usually speak in his videos, he'll still manage to make anyone laugh. I'm not going to put that music on because it is annoying, but you'll see in a second that what he does is universally understood, right? So this girl is covering her sink with some whatever that was, and Khaby Lame does his thing where he delivers his humor through literally just, okay, here's how you actually do it. You know this by now, he's super famous. That is why, because you can show this video to anyone and they'll understand it. Next, we have got exclusivity. So exclusivity and elusive experience. So this means showing off experiences and concepts that your viewer will probably never experience in their real life, and something that, you know, they won't experience in their real life becomes interesting to them, so they can live the experience through your content. So examples of which could be supercars, MTV Cribs, extreme sports, you know, dangerous situations, or gambling, right? So this guy's gambling.
To celebrate 750,000 subscribers. We do this every 10 times.
This guy is doing something that a lot of his viewers will probably never do in their lives. No one will try to gamble 7,500. No one's going to do that. That's why this video is so interesting, because you don't want to gamble 7,500, but this guy will. So you can live through his content, right? The next one is point of view. So using the second person more often than the first and the third to address and involve the viewer works well. So when I say point of view, it means making the video from the point of view that the viewer would be experiencing. Use language like you are to address the viewer. So if I'm looking at this camera, you are, I'm talking to you in the second person, use this is point of view. And the camera angle is also effective. So when I'm talking into the camera, it feels like I'm talking to the viewer, right? And bonus points for eye contact, look into the camera lens and not your own image in the camera. So I'm gonna look right there, like I'm looking into the viewer's soul. Maybe not like that, but you understand my point. Think about POV content in porn and why it works so well, because it immerses the viewer like they're the ones having sex. It's exactly why. If a virgin's watching porn, they're gonna love POV content, all right? This one, right? It's a little skip.
I lost it all.
Throwing it back for me, baby. Love you.
Alright, thanks. Babe, I lost pretty bad.
How much did you?
You can see it's a POV video because the creator is talking to the person, like, babe, talking to you. I know there's a cameraman behind the video, but he could have been like, she just lost gambling, but he didn't, right? The creator is basically talking into the camera, which is basically talking to the viewer. That makes it so effective, so much more effective. The example I just did. So try to use when it suits. Point of view content works really well, right? The next one's agitation. So using controversy and or rage bait from certain groups to drive engagement. So you can piss off red pill space. So, you know, the Andrew Tate kind of, David Goggins kind of space, because they hate the OnlyFans space anyway. If you piss them off, all of them will comment underneath your post and you just get more engagement. Why the fuck not? But I will tell you now, use it sparingly, because it's good to drive engagement, but it's not good to entirely drive your branding, right? So a good example of this is Jelly Beans rage baiting because this is a really expensive car and it will piss off a lot of people. You can look into the comment section. Could I just pull out her internal organs? Dislike button. I feel bad for the car, right? All of this stuff, it's all rage bait. She just pissed off this entire comment section, but she's not complaining because there's so much engagement. Look how many likes it has. If you piss off the right group of people and you do the ridiculous things, it works. Agitation works. You just need to piss off people every now and again and they'll just come flocking to your content to tell you off and throw hate at you, which is why you shouldn't do it too often. Next is connotations, specifically negative connotations. So using a negative connotation forces your viewer's brain into panic mode. So try to when you're using a negative connotation, try to make the viewer's brain turn into panic mode, right? So talk about negative effects rather than positive. For example, instead of saying you could get this new car, that's positive, you're saying you're missing out on a new car. The viewer's like, oh, I'm missing out on a new car. Oh no. Instead of, oh, I could get this new car, but I don't want to get this. Oh, I don't have any space in my driveway. You're missing out on this new car. Oh, how do I not miss out? That's what I mean by a negative connotation. Again, this could be used in any sort of content, not particularly a focal point, but rather you're missing out on 50% off of my OnlyFans, for example. That's a good example. Instead of you can get this 50% until the end of this week, that's a positive connotation. Saying that you're missing out on my 50% sale is a lot more effective. That's how you use negative connotation. You can use that in your content as well. Why not? Next, we've got value. So value comes in various different forms. I covered value earlier and it will be covered in more depth in the next section, but to give you the general gist of value, it gives the viewer a reason to share, save, comment, follow. It's the value. So that's pretty much it. I don't want to say too much. I'll cover it in the next section. And lastly, hooks. There's also a section on this further on, but I'll give you this piece of advice now. Do not confuse these with value propositions. Value propositions are things that immediately give value and tells you what the topic is. We'll also go into topics in a second. But value proposition is something like top 10 ways to hold a mug or drink coffee. 3 reasons why you should drink coffee. Why you should start an OnlyFans. You know, top 10 ways to drive in subscribers for your OnlyFans. That's a value proposition. That's not a hook. So those are still good. They're still good, but use them in the middle or the end of your video. Don't use it as your hook. Your hook solely exists for you to evoke feelings, emotions, and stop the viewers scroll so that they will watch your video. Right? And this is a psychology thing. That's why you shouldn't use value propositions at the beginning of the video. You should use hooks. So psychologically speaking, the first and last 1 to 3 seconds of your video have higher impacts on human memory. They stick around longer. They'll remember the first 3 seconds and the last 3 seconds as opposed to the 20 seconds in between. These are more memorable. So you should focus on making the opening and the closing as impactful as possible. There's a section on this further on. I'll show you exactly what goes into a good hook and some good examples, right? So next, first section, you've got delivering value. The reason why you have to deliver value in your videos is because without value, there is zero reason for the viewers to continue watching the video. Like I said before, the hook isn't value. The ending isn't value. The beginning, those 20 seconds in the beginning, not the beginning, the middle is your value. They're the reason that your viewers should continue watching the video. So there's different types of value. So for example, you've got educational. So educational in any topic of teaching will do. It doesn't have to be directly teaching a lesson with a whiteboard. It doesn't have to be like me talking to this board right now, giving you these pieces of advice. It doesn't have to be like that. A video like, oh, what do I do for glutes in the gym also counts as educational. So if you want to include the viewer, you give them a little vlog.
We're gonna do a new vlog, ultimate secret for my glutes. It's called the cake superset. So there is cake and more cake, really tasty and painful at the same time. So let's go. First step, you need to get the cake, a real cake. In my case, I'm gonna get a banana cake. Okay guys, we got the banana cake. Everyone will probably look at you. Don't pay attention, okay? Okay, so guys, the game is actually to do a set, eat the cake.
You get the point. You get the point. This is educational. That was a bit more of a skip, but that creator, Melissa, usually does make vlogs where it's, here I'm gonna do cake, glute workout, whatever it may be. And it is advised that some people will be like, oh yeah, well, that's a good workout. She has a nice ass. Okay, let me try it. That's educational. But again, this entire piece of content is also educational. So take it as you will, right? That's educational value. The next one's entertainment. So this can come in 2 forms. Entertainment in terms of humor. So if I make a joke and then you laugh, like Kabi Lame, that's entertainment value. Relatability as well. So telling a story that is relatable to someone is entertainment value. You also get shock entertainment. Anything that, you know, makes them smile, right? So here's a good example of relatability as well as humor. This one is more geared towards the Berserk fan base. Cinna is more of a niche creator, and this sort of resonates with her audience. and it's a joke that they'll get, but this is entertainment value. That's an example of it. There's plenty of examples to show you, but obviously I don't want to example, it'll get boring. Next type of value, love and sex, right? So stories about sex, visual sexual appeal. So for example, being in a bikini, having your tits out, or whatever it may be, that is sex value. And since most social media will censor actual sexual content, like I can't whip my dick out and, you know, have it posted on YouTube because they'll fucking ban me, right? But you have to leave this up to the viewer's imagination. I just made you use your imagination by saying, you get my point. I'm not going to continue down that line. But here's an example of sex value, right? So this is Lily Phillips talking about fucking 100 dudes in a day, right?
Yes, I did.
A lot of people start salivating at this because it's sex. She has sex. Oh, you know, that's the value.
I saw that when you.
And that particular video was mixed in with entertainment as well because it was a podcast and people are laughing. But the gist of it is that the topic was a story about sex. They were talking about Lily Phillips getting railed by 100 dudes, and a lot of the viewer base are going to start using their imagination to start thinking about, oh, she got railed by 100 dudes, that's so hot, and chances are they might start flocking to her OnlyFans, right? I'll give you a word of advice on this though. Try not to overuse it because it gets very tiring. If it works very well, in the case of Lily Phillips, and I'm going to get onto her in a second, but Lily Phillips is a person who uses this as their main source of value. You want to stand out because there's so many different creators that just think that, oh, let me take a video in my lingerie and I hope this will get loads of views. Try not to use this as your main. Again, we'll get into Lily Phillips in a second. The next type of value is inspirational value. So motivational videos, lifestyle flaunting videos, that seems to be quite good for inspiration. So for example, if you have a David Goggins video,
You need discipline. Talent? I don't believe in talent.
Talent is not enough anymore.
You have to be your best self when you're least motivated.
As long as you have a lot of determination and willpower, that's all you need. And you have to have the will to win.
you kind of get the gist of it. But watching this kind of video,
A lot of times you have to learn.
watching this kind of video is like, it gets the viewer fired up. They're inspired. They're like, yeah, David Goggins, Mike Tyson, Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm going to go work. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. They're fired up. It's inspirational, right? And again, you can tie this in with a lot of your stuff. I mean, David Goggins is basically known to be delivering mainly inspirational content, right? And the last type of value that is here, there's obviously so many more different types, but you've got controversy. So controversy ranges from non-harmful pineapple belongs on pizza to full-blown political, racial, religious, and cultural views, right? You can get a lot of attention if you like comment on that kind of stuff. If you say I'm voting for Trump, or I'm voting for Kamala, or fuck Trump, or fuck Kamala, right? You'll get a lot of people circling around you because they want to oppose your view. That's why controversy works so well. There's a lot of people who say, oh no, pineapple does belong on pizza, pineapple doesn't belong on pizza. There you go. That's controversy. You know how I mentioned earlier that you can rage bait people into engaging into your content? This is the value. It's controversy. It's like, why would you say pineapple belongs on pizza? That's disgusting. That's the shock, right? So this girl...
Actually, Mom, I've always been in hood.
I muted that as the perfect time, but she said the N-word, and you can see that this just fucking did numbers because she just is a white girl, extremely white girl, who is not allowed to say that word. But that got a shit ton of engagement, and this kind of became her branding. Again, I would give the same advice that I say about sex appeal. Try not to make this your main source of value, because otherwise you just get known for saying controversial things, and you know, you end up with the image of the branding of someone who's super controversial. So the girl that I just pulled up, I don't know what to call her, but the girl that I just pulled up is basically known for being a white girl that says the N-word. It's not something you want to be. I will say that, right? These types of values are where your content topic stems from. So each one of your planned content topics have to deliver one or more of these types of values, right? And I'll get back to delivering multiple types of content in a second when I'm covering ideation, right? So next, we're going to cover effective without context content. And this is another building block that you should use. This should be used in 80% of your content. 80%, because a lot of your viewers will be new, right? You'll notice that 90% or 99% of content on Instagram Reels, TikToks, YouTube Shorts, whatever it is, they don't need context to bring in new viewers, right? They're without context. So for examples, you can see a cat video and still get the full value out of it. You don't need any context. You're not going to ask, oh, is that a cat? Why is this funny? Why is this funny? I don't get it. Everyone gets cat videos. Same with fail compilations. They're still funny. It's still funny to see like a little 6-year-old kid face planting on a swing. It's funny. You don't need any context. You don't need to be like, oh, why is this funny? Tutorials as well. Tutorials are really easy to deliver without context. So cooking tutorials, how to make a pizza. You don't need to be like, oh, what is that? Is that food? Do I eat it? No, it's a pizza. People get the full value out of it without context, right? And that is the basis of 80% of your context. It should be, right? The reason why you should learn how to make content without context is because context adds a barrier to your content. So this is your barrier in your content, meaning the viewer has to have knowledge to understand what is going on in your video in order to extract the full value out of it. So once you remove this barrier of context, you move out of the way, boom, and then you just get a new viewer who is retained afterwards. So for example, if you put context back here, right? If you put context back here, the viewer is going to start asking questions like, who is this person? Why is this funny? I don't get it, right? And then eventually they get bored because the attention span is super fucking short. So boom, context out of the way. And once they stop asking questions and they just enjoy the video, they're retained without the context, right? So in other words, you're scaring away new viewers by hiding the value from them behind this wall of context. That is the opposite of what you want, right? That means that your goal is to make effective without content, effective without context content to expand your audience as efficiently as possible, because you need as many new viewers to turn into retained viewers, right? And again, like I covered, you don't need all of your content to be EWOK, but a general rule of thumb is that 80% of your content should be EWOK so that you can drive in new viewers, right? If you leave the context in, right, if you need context to understand your video, your retained viewers will get it, but your new viewers won't. So you can build a retained audience off of the content that needs context, but don't do it all the time. 80% EWOK, right? So let me run you through the pillars of EWOK, right? So no CTA, right? No CTA. No sub to my page, or give me a follow, or like and subscribe, because that can turn off new viewers and stop them from engaging, right? If it's something they want to do, they'll want to do it regardless of there being a CTA or not. If they want to go to your page and subscribe, they're going to. You don't need to tell them, right? And besides, your goal with EWOK content is not engagement per se, but views anyways. So it doesn't matter if they go through and like and subscribe, because your goal should be, oh, am I getting new views? The views will come anyways, right? Simplify complex content. So break a series or complex topic down, like my daily life, into different smaller topics that can be understood as standalone videos, right? So my daily life, you could be really confusing. You could be like a lawyer who goes to the gym and goes clubbing at night, right? That's really complex, and you need to introduce yourself, you need to do this, you need to do that, and it's not effective without context. So split it up into different videos. So for example, you can do a get ready with me for work in a law firm, come with me for lunch on my lunch break, get unready with me, right? Behind the scenes of making content, fitness routine, get ready with me for the club vlog, after the club. Those, I can't hold my hands up. Those 3 things plus 5, those 8 things, they can be their own standalone videos that don't need context. But if you make that one long video, the viewer's gonna be like, oh, well, there's so much introduction. When can I get to the actual part of her going to do? They'll get bored easily because it's such a long piece of content. You can just split it up from complex to really simple, shorter videos, right? And lastly, no intro. Don't introduce yourself. At least in this context, it's better for me to introduce myself because you guys need to understand who I am and why I'm doing this. But if you don't have an intro for your video, it does a few things for you, right? So for one, it creates implied familiarity, meaning the viewer will feel like they know the creator already, right? So they know your face. Give enough time, they'll be able to associate your face with your name without you even saying it. So for example, we'll take Sophie Rain. I can't even think of a clip where she's like, "Hi guys, I'm Sophie Rain, da 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 da." Everyone knows Sophie Rain. Everyone knows what she looks like. Everyone knows her face. Everyone knows her name. But she's never given an intro. So that's effective without context, right? This also makes diving into your content easier because you don't need an intro. You're not like, "Hi guys, my name is da 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 da, and I'm gonna dance." They can just jump straight into the story and the value of your content. So instead of saying, "Hi, I'm gonna dance now," you can just like start the video, and the viewer is straight into the value of the content. So don't bore them with an intro. You are much better without. Right? And next we've got the checklist for your EWOK content. So this is your checklist to make sure that your stuff is effective without context. So first, identify your specific relatable aspect of your EWOK content. So what is it that makes the viewer feel like, "Oh yeah, this makes sense. This is relatable to me. I understand it. I don't have to ask any questions." Deliver value without a CTA. So as covered in literally just rewind a few minutes. Stay on point and make sure that the video is standalone. So create content that can stand alone and not rely on a particular series. Like I said before, it doesn't need a series or prior information to fully deliver value. And use simple, short and to the point language. You don't need to make all these complex words. You need to make your content as understandable as possible to a new viewer, right? So let me give you an example, right? This video is effective with context. People are probably looking at this video and they're being like, "Who the fuck is Julia? Who the fuck is Aisha? Who the fuck is Sophie? Who is this girl? Why is she in a fucking..." Do you know how many fucking questions I'm asking? Like, it's way too many. Way too many, right? You don't know names. You don't know faces. You don't know why she's in a plane. You're asking too many questions, right? But this one is just... There's one question, maybe, if you really want to dig into it. But this is a fucking joke about, "Oh yeah, where my dentist doesn't judge where my mouth has been. This means that she's been giving me blowjobs," right? That's the only question. It's effective without content. You don't need prior information. None of that. This is effective without context. Right? And that is your EWOK content done. So once you have your checklist down, make sure that 80% of your content is EWOK, and your EWOK content checks all of this off, right? Next section, you need to give a reason to come back to your content. Can you go away? There you go. Right. So you need to be consistent, in short, to give your viewers a reason to come back to your content. So center yourself around 1 or 2 types of value. Like I mentioned before, center yourself around 1 or 2 types, choose them and just write them down and be like, "Okay, I'm going to be known for these," and then stick to them, right? Because you don't want to be known just for the fact that you're hot and you have an OnlyFans. That is not consistent enough. That is not reliable enough. There's hot models who have an OnlyFans and they're stuck at 500 followers maybe, and another lucky one might be at 500,000, right? You can't rely on it. You need to deliver value in your videos, right? And the reason I say that is because porn is free. Porn is free. It costs $0. If people wanted to see pussy and pussy alone, they would have gone to Pornhub. Why would they pay $3, $5, $10 to see you, to subscribe to your OnlyFans, if you're not of particular value to the viewer, right? And that's not to say that using your body or your facial features or whatever it may be for your content is a bad thing, right? If you look at examples like Leah Walton's face, I mean, this is one of the most viewed videos on TikTok. You can use, you know, your looks. You can use your body. So Melissa's got a very well-formed behind. She uses this in a lot of her content. She poses like this in a lot of her reels and a lot of her photo shoots. She uses it because it's an asset, right? And same with Hot Blockchain's tits. I mean, they're there. You'll see in a lot of her reels, she's like posed like this with a shirt that is kind of similar to mine. It's very low resting. And that's not a bad thing. It's not necessarily. So these are good cases of using natural assets to your advantage in your content. Why not if you have them, but make sure that you're sticking to the framework as well as using these as your assets, right? So find your specific way of giving value, as I listed before. So the different types of value, figure out what kind of value you're best at giving off. So are you funny? Are you sexy? Are you controversial? Think about those things and then put it in your content, right? I have to specify this because the easy cop out to promoting your OnlyFans and, you know, having subscribers come in and all of this stuff and delivering value is sexually charged content. It is really saturated. I think I mentioned this before. You have to be either really sexual or really kinky or really hot, right? So think about Lily Phillips. Lily Phillips I brought up earlier. So the video of her being railed by 100 guys, right? She's going viral right now. The date is the 1st of November 2024. She's going viral right now for literally fucking 1,000 dudes in one day. Headlines everywhere. She's literally going on like a sprint of just dick, and everyone knows, right? That's one way to stand out because it's shock value. It's like 1,000 dudes. How the fuck are you not like ripped in half? And also sexual themes. That's value, but it's really that's an extreme case of being really sexual, right? And again, like I said before, you're gonna end up getting known for these kinds of things. So you need to center yourself around one or two types of value to understand that you're going to be known for being funny or sexy or controversial or any type of value. That's what you're going to be known for. It will eventually turn into your branding and it will stick with you, right? It will stick with you as long as you make that kind of content, right? We will come back to this kind of stuff in hooks as well. Right. Next, we are on to content structure. Hello, copy. All right. So content structure. This is how you actually structure your content. This is the planning. This is the brains behind it all, right? This is the preparation for you to go fucking viral. You need to think first, okay, what different components go into your content. First, you've got your topic, you've got your hook, then you've got your script. These three things go into the planning of your video. That being said, let me explain topic, hooks, and script and go further into detail, right? So your topic is the overarching idea of your video. So you need to think about, when you're thinking about your topic, what exactly you're going to talk about in your video. What value are you going to deliver? What's the story you're telling in this video? What emotions are you going to tap into? And what caption you're going to use in this video? The caption is important, right? Because it's what you're going to say in the video. It's your story. It's what you're going to base the entire topic of your video around. That's why your caption is important. So when you're thinking about the overarching topic of your video, what you're going to make this video about, consider those things, among other questions, right? Hooks, we have two different types of hooks, right? So you get the verbal hook first. The verbal hook is how do you catch the ears of someone, if that makes sense. It's what they hear first. How do you make a good verbal hook, right? You address the viewer, right? You develop a connection by addressing the viewer, like, hey, or some other sort of sound effect, or whatever the viewer hears is a good verbal hook. If you can grab their attention by just being like, oh, they're calling me, they're talking to me, that's a good verbal hook. So if you go, hey, or you're probably asking, right? That's my intro, right? That's my intro, that's my verbal hook. Anything that, they hear, anything that they hear to grab attention, that's a good verbal hook, right? And so what you want to do with a good verbal hook is develop intrigue and curiosity by potentially posing a question. So, have you been struggling with getting subs in for your OnlyFans? That's a good hook. It's like, yeah, no, well, I have been. That's intrigue. That's curiosity in the first 3 seconds of the video. That's a good verbal hook, right? You want to evoke an emotion as well. So a statement that you can say can be emotional, it could be relatable, etc., right? So if I start the video off with, my dog died. Yeah, it's emotional. The viewer's going to be like, oh, his dog died. Oh, no. And then watch the rest of the video because they feel bad. different versions of verbal hooks, right? And you can get really creative with this stuff. You can get extremely creative with what kind of hook you make, right? The next one would be your visual hook. So your visual hook is anything that the viewer sees in the first 1 to 3 seconds, right? So how do you make a good one? It's anything. It could be eye-catching outfits. So for example, you could wear lingerie, right? Or you can wear a brightly colored outfit, so neon pink or neon green, or have some sort of unique flashy style. You could wear a cosplay, right? That's an eye-catching outfit. You could do some dynamic movements. I'm gonna do a little bit of work here. A dynamic movement. So for example, if I come into frame like this, hey guys, what's up? It's a bit stupid for me doing it, but that's a dynamic movement. That's how you get, you know, the interest of the viewer in the first 3 seconds. Or you could, for example, wave your hands at the beginning of the video. Hey guys, something like that. You know, that's a dynamic movement. A little something more subtle is playing with a prop. So if I started this video off with like this, it's just very subtle, but it still works as a visual hook. That's what we call moving parts, right? That's moving parts. So if you have a moving part in the first 3 seconds of your video, that works as your hook, right? An expressive gesture in the beginning of your video can put the viewers off, right? So by expressive, I mean, it could be anything. You could be biting your lip, you could be like, or like winking or something. If you go through Camilla's Instagram, you can see a lot of different examples. She pulls some crazy faces, like the Ahegao face as well. It's a very good example of an expressive gesture, and it works because the viewer's like, why is she making that face for? Weird. But now you have the attention. Now you have the attention, and that's what you capitalize off of, right? And the last one is camera work, right? Camera work. I'm gonna find an exact example. But when I say camera work, it's just a lot of just flashing, right? You see this is probably going to get me restricted on YouTube, but you see that? That fast, like cut, that editing, that works as camera work. That works as a hook because it's just so fast, attention's grabbed, just, and that's the psychology of it. I said before, the psychology, right? Use your camera editing to grab attention, right? So specifically to tailor your hook to your topic and your video, you need to identify what your video is about, of course. So have your topic down first, right? And this kind of tip is more relevant for niche content. So the more unniched you are, the more flexibility you have with your hooks, right? So Sophie Rain can pull off any hook, right? She can pull a face, she can like slide into the camera view, but some sort of dominatrix latex kind of girl probably won't be able to do that exact same thing. But for me, for example, if I want to show off what I do for a living, I could start the video off with, here's how I make money with my phone, and my hook, my visual hook is me going like this, right? Make the hook relevant. How do I make 10,000 a month from my phone? There you go. It's suited to me because I'm making the hook relevant to the story of my video. Have 2 and 2 come together and it will make the viewer even more intrigued. That's an even more effective hook, right? So again, next, identify why you're making this video. So if you want to drive subs to your OF, use a sexually charged outfit as a hook, for example, right? They'll understand from like the first 5 seconds, oh, she's hot. Oh, does she have an OnlyFans? There you go, you make it relevant. Next, if you want to educate, show it with a verbal hook. So here's how you make pizza. I fucking like, that could be your verbal hook. Here's how you make pizza, right? And it will make the topic clear. It will make the topic, but not the value. It will make the topic clear. So the viewer will be like, oh, if I watch the next 20 seconds of this video, I'm going to learn how to make a pizza. There you go. That could be your hook, right? So you need to identify your what and your why for your video, and then build your hook off of it. And then lastly, create a feeling around your hook. So build an emotion relevant to your what and your why in the first few seconds of the video, right? So what I did with my phone example, building an emotion around what is this video about? Why am I making this video, right? I can be like, again, showing you, here's how I make 10K a month from my phone. that emotion is like curiosity. The viewer's like, how is he making 10k a month from his phone? That's the feeling, and it makes them watch the rest of the video, right? Here's a few bonus hook tips, right? Show, don't tell, right? So visuals and sounds alone can tell 50% of the story, which means that the viewer is going to stay around for the rest of the video to figure out the other 50% that they're missing, right? So leaving things half finished is the easiest way to retain someone's attention, because psychologically they want more. They want more, right? They want more money. If you're watching a video and it's, again, making pizza, how to make pizza, right? You're not going to leave halfway through. You're not going to leave halfway through. You're going to stay till the end because you want to learn how to make a pizza. You don't want to leave things half finished. So you can be like, here's how I made a pizza. The visual hook is it's a fully made pizza. It's a finished pizza, right? They're going to stay around. The viewer's going to stay around because they want to see how you made that pizza. How you made it. Why does it look so good? All of that stuff, right? Next tip. Think beyond your niche. So hooks can entertain anyone, right? So don't think that hooks can exclude anyone at all. Don't think that your hook is too niche, because I'll give you an example, right? Have you ever watched a 30-second craft? Like, I think it's 30-second, 5-second crafts, whatever, 5-minute crafts, right? Their content makes no sense and their hooks make no sense, and no one will ever try a 30-second craft. Like, have you tried a 30-second craft? No, but their hook still gets your attention and you watch the entire video because you're like, oh, well, what is this going to turn into? Have you ever tried a 30-second craft? Didn't think so. That's why your hook can be relevant beyond your niche. You can try your hook with anyone. Don't try to limit yourself to what is extremely relevant to my branding. No, you can just get the attention of anyone. Again, I said it's psychology. Make sure to bank on it, right? Lastly, last part of your content script structure is the script. So this is the body and the value of the video. What I said before, the hook is not the value. The hook is what tells the viewer what the value is going to be, right? So you need to think about what is going to happen in your video. Are there different speakers in the video? What camera movement are you going to have in the video? How are you going to keep the story entertaining for the viewer in the video? That's your script. These aren't your only questions when it comes to building your script of your video, of your content. But again, you should be writing this stuff down. You should be writing down your script as if you're being a director, right? So to answer all of these questions, you need to not necessarily make the primary goal of your script when you're writing it, not necessarily to entertain, but to retain the viewer, right? Because if your main goal was to entertain the viewer, the hook would have done the job, but you need to tell a story. So you need to think about, okay, how do I keep the viewer watching for the next 20 seconds, the next 10 seconds, the next 30 seconds, the next minute? How do I write a script so good that they stay, right? So I have a few tips on how to do exactly that with your scripts, right? So number one, start with a strong hook, because your hook is still part of your script. And in the case of a longer video, so longer than 30 seconds, use a rehook, which is another hook after the initial one, which is solely made there to make sure that the viewer is still watching and to solidify the interest in the video. So for example, a come with me to the gym video, right? So you can come up with whatever hook. So the verbal hook would be, come with me to the gym. And then 15 seconds into the video, the camera cuts and the creator is walking towards the gym through the parking lot. That's a rehook. And you can be like, come with me, we're nearly here. That's a visual hook, right? That's your rehook because you've left it unfinished. Oh, now she's going to walk into the gym. What does the gym look like? What are we going to do in the gym? Is she going to meet anyone in the gym? There you go, right? That's the intrigue. Next, we've got maintain the video's interest throughout the entire time, right? So keep the pacing fast. When I say fast, I mean extremely fucking fast, right? So the video I showed you earlier, this one, don't want to show you the DMs there, but right? Really fucking fast. That's what I mean. It needs to be extremely fast. And that uses both visual and video stimuli. Let me turn the sound on. It's going to be really annoying. I'm sorry, but... it's so fucking fast, but it stimulates your brain for no reason, right? And the last one is mid-video hooks. Like I said before, use a rehook to keep the viewer's interest throughout the entire video, right? Next tip, have a compelling storyline and a consistent flow of emotion throughout, right? So stay on theme, which, I mean, I could make an entire video telling you on how to tell a good story in general, but just know that you need to write down in your script what's going on in the beginning, what's going on in the middle, and what's going on at the end of your story, right? Speaking of the end of your story, end on a high note. So for example, a cliffhanger, right? So if you're making a series, have a cliffhanger, which will be continued in the next video. Maybe have a CTA, like, okay, come check my page for more, link in bio, or a pleasant conclusion, right? There's plenty of examples of a pleasant conclusion, right? And last tip, have a clear value proposition, right? So that means the answer to your initial question that you posed at the beginning of the video, right? So let me give you an example, because that might not be so clear. An example could be a kiss or slap video, right? So you've seen plenty of kiss or slap street interviews where it's like, would you rather kiss or slap me? Right? And the video ends with either a kiss, a slap, or a twist at the end. That is a pleasant conclusion, but it's also a clear value proposition. It's the value that you got. You got entertained by the kiss. You got entertained by the slap. You got entertained by the twist. You need to make sure that your hook, so the beginning of your video, is answered. You give them 50% of the value here and 50% of the value here. And that is how you write a good script. And it's very general advice, because I can't tell you exactly what content to make, what exactly you should do in this particular situation. This is very generalized information. I did tell you, but this kind of stuff applies generally to a lot of content. Let's not lie here. You will start noticing this. Once you've taken down notes and you've studied through this, you'll tell. Once you're going through Instagram Reels, you'll understand that a lot of content creators have this kind of structure and implement some of these pieces of advice, right? So next, we've got content ideation and batching. So, right, to come up with your idea for your content, you need to think about and write down the structure of your video. So like I said before, go through the content structure and write down all of these things. Bear in mind the advice that I've given you. And on top of that, you should look through creators who've had success creating similar content to what you're doing and then changing one variable, right? So points of reference and replicating. You need to replicate, or you don't need to replicate, but it's easy to replicate someone who has had success before. So let's take Camille, right? Camilla, right? You see her content, just watch this, right? This is just a general example of what worked well.
Rate my shot.
Right? If you want to create a skit similar to that, so she's shooting a basketball and it falls into the hoop, falls into the pool, and she walks away and she's sad, right? Try to do something different, but keep the rest the same. Do everything she does except change the basketball hoop for a football goal, or shoot a baseball into the hoop instead of a basketball, or wear a different outfit that Camilla to what Camilla wore, or film an actual basketball court. There's a reason successful content is successful, so don't fix what's broken, but add your different twist to it, right? So maybe you could be replicating the exact same video, but you're wearing like a latex suit if you're like a dominatrix or whatever, right? Or you throw like a whip into the hoop. It can be anything, but again, don't fix what's not broken. You can replicate if you want, but just make sure you're adding something different to what already works, right? Next, I want to cover something which is just generally good content practice, right? And that's batching, right? So what I mean by batch creating your content, it just means that you should record lots of separate pieces of your content in one session. So to do this, write down 5 different ideas under the same topic. So like, for example, the example that I gave with my daily life earlier on in the video, I talked about breaking your day in your life as a lawyer who goes to the gym and goes to the club. Write down your ideas for the day, plan them out, and then just record, right? You'll find that batching is actually just not as difficult as it seems. It takes 10 minutes to record 5 videos in your bedroom if you have your ideas down correctly, right? So if you prepare all of your stuff beforehand and you batch your ideas and then you think, okay, I have 10 minutes spare, let me just fucking take 5 reels. That's enough, right? So once you have your ideas down, you have 50% of your content down already. Just remember to consider the following things, right? You need to consider the following things: equipment, location, props, clothing, and your script. Once you have those down, that is your entire video idea. And repeat those for each video that you're going to take in a day, for example, and you have successfully badged. But just make sure that you're constantly coming up with ideas. So even if it's not super simple and not necessarily original, at least you've got the ideas down, and at least you're progressing. And I'm going to get into exactly how you're going to progress your content and not stay at a standstill. You're actually going to go like, right? So not lastly, post-recording. So once you've got the raw content together, you've got the editing and the posting. Editing shouldn't be overly complicated. It shouldn't be. I'm going to be serious. When I say editing, people think, oh, let me add these effects, add me there, add this, add that. You don't need to, right? Just use something like CapCut or Instagram templates to put together multiple clips, add music or captions, and you should be fine. You don't need to add these flashy things. You don't need to add filters or over-the-top effects. You don't need to be doing this. Just simplify it. I'm serious, right? Look, take Melissa's video, for example.
Guess what is it today? It's my birthday! It's my cake!
You'll notice she's not using filters and she's not overly editing. You don't see anything. It's literally just cut. It's simple. It's super simple. There is no overcomplication. She's not adding like these eyelash fucking filters. She's not adding like really loud music. She's not adding these flashes. She's not adding any of that. Simplify it. Otherwise, you're going to be turning off the viewer and they're just going to be like, oh, what the fuck am I looking at? They're going to be turned off and they'll leave. You will not have a retained viewer, right? So make sure to use that clip as an example of what simple content is like. And it runs smoothly. If you go through the entire reel, it runs smoothly. You don't need that much off the rail fucking like edit. You don't need that. Your main focus should be retaining the viewer and not turning them off with your editing, right? Now bear in mind, during the ideation part of your content creation process, so when you're writing down your ideas, when you're writing down your script, you should already have a rough idea as to what your edited video actually looks like. You should know what your audio sounds like, what your caption is, all of that stuff. You should have that considered and you should have it in your mind already. So you shouldn't be like thinking about it after you record the video. You should have had the idea down before you even press the record button. So that will make things a lot more simple for you if you already have that, right? So next we got posting, right? So posting behind the actual content creation, this is the second most important part of actually going viral, right? The posting. This is because even if you have the best content in the world, if the algorithm doesn't end up recommending it to any of the users on the platform, you won't go viral regardless. It doesn't matter how good your content is. If you stuck to every single one of these pieces of advice in this video, but you have not played the algorithm correctly, your video could flop. And no one wants that, right? So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that, right? Because all of these variables in Grace Goodman's page have been carefully considered, right? So things from when does the content actually meet the content guidelines for the platform? Will it get me shadow banned? Will it get me taken down? What time should I post? So this was like 1 day ago, right? You see 2 weeks, this exact time. They don't have timestamps on here, but you get my point. This should be data driven. So the time that you post you should base that off of your past information. So you won't know you won't know the perfect time to, you know, post necessarily until you post loads. So experiment around, play around with when you should post, and think about when your audience is on their phones, right? So say for example, if your audience is full of office workers, think about when their lunch break is, when they arrive home. That's when they'll be on their phone. That's when they'll be scrolling Instagram. So you'll get the maximum amount of views there, right? I'm gonna close this because this is no longer relevant. How many times should I post per day, right? So will I be able to stick to it? This is just a rough number. I have another video up about pleasing the algorithm and, you know, really staying consistent. But a general good rule of thumb is sticking 3 times a day, and be able to consider, oh yeah, am I going to be able to record three videos and schedule 3 videos a day? Can I actually stick to that? Well, because the algorithm fucking loves consistent posting. If you post 3 times a day, make sure you post 3 times today, 3 times tomorrow, 3 times the next day. Not 0 today, 3 tomorrow, 6 the next day. To average it out, you need to be posting 3 times a day. So think about, will you be able to stick to it? And if you can pump out more, that's fine. You can post 5 times a day, 10 times a day. If you can stick to it, that's perfect, right? Other things like, should I use hashtags or not? What hashtags should I use? What caption should I use in the video description? So not the one in the actual video, but like actually in the caption, along with the hashtags. What am I going to associate this reel with in terms of using an original sound versus a trending sound? Tagging yourself in a location. That's all associations with a reel. Pinning a comment in the comment section, so you can post a comment and then pin it yourself. This could be a CTA, right? So this could be usually related to the video. It just helps the algorithm to be like, okay, people are engaging with this reel. Let me post it more. Let me push it to more users. You can pin another user's comment as well if you find it really funny, or if someone is simping for you, pin them, because it's just the highlight of your comment section. And the other people that go through the comment section, they will notice it and they'll engage off of that, right? The algorithm will love that. Engage with comments as well. So not just liking comments, but actually reply to some of them too. If some of them are like, yeah, well, they say they're gonna do something really down bad, you just be like, oh, I'd love that. The algorithm loves that. The algorithm will push your post more because they realize, oh, the creator is actually replying to comments. Let's push it, right? And also engaging with your comments adds to your personality as well as adding to the algorithmic appeal. So people will see you replying to the comments and they'll be like, oh, well, she said that. Oh, that's what she's like. It adds to your personality, right? And the last thing that you should consider when you're trying to please the algorithm is posting to your story. You should probably, this is just good practice, right? You should, once you post a reel, every now and again, just add it to your story, because people who view your story are gonna be like, oh, well, that's cool. We got a new video up. Let me go check it out, right? And that will get pushed to your followers, and then in turn, you'll get more views, right? And lastly, we've got the positive feedback loop. This was the very crux of this. This is the creme de la creme. This is the how you get your content from here to here with my advice to here on your own. I say on your own, I'm serious, on your own, right? But first, I need to give you an analogy with apples, right? This is relevant, I promise. When you eat an apple for the first time, you might like it, you might not like it, but you don't understand whether all apples taste like that first apple that you had, if there are better or worse apples, what makes a good apple and what makes a bad apple. Why? Because you haven't eaten enough apples, right? You don't have many points of reference. You can't judge anything, right? This is just one apple out of however many apples that exist, right? So once you get to the point where you've eaten 1,000 apples and you noted down what you like about each specific type of apple, so the bitterness, the texture, maybe the color, I don't know, the sound that it makes when it crunches. Now you know to specifically grab the type of apple that works for you and is your favorite type of apple, right? That way you're not going to miss out on any type of apple because you know specifically which apple is the best for you, right? Apple ran over. That's the exact same concept when you're trying to figure out what content works for you and what makes it work for you, right? So again, with the apples, you need to eat 1,000 apples before you understand exactly what goes into a good one and what apple you should be picking out of the thousands of apples that exist. What works for you. You need to get to the point where you made thousands of pieces of content so you know what works for you, right? So no matter what kind of creator you are, I'd suggest creating a spreadsheet similar to this that tracks different things about your content, its elements and its performance. In other words, every time you post a video, put it into that spreadsheet that you've just made, tracking the topic, right? So mindset, industry, education, random rage bait, etc. Your visual hook, your verbal hook. I don't have it on this particular spreadsheet because this is mine, but your visual hook, your verbal hook, which ones did you use? Other variables such as what device you recorded it with, did you use hashtags, did you not use hashtags, all of that stuff. And then after 24 hours, check back for when your views, your likes, your comments, your saves and your shares. After 24 hours, check them, put them into the spreadsheet, right? And now once you've uploaded, say, 3 videos a day for 3 to 4 weeks, you'll have enough data to think about, which topic works, which hook works, which hook doesn't work, what variables work. You'll be able to see that after 3 or 4 weeks. At the end of the day, the thing that you want to get from this entire section is that you need to be able to gather information about the content that you put out, and you're gonna be able to only get there once you have more data. So the more data that you have, the more that you'll clearly be able to see what to improve on, right? And if you got turned off by the part where I said post for 3 to 4 weeks, you need to reevaluate, purely because if you keep trying new things and changing your content strategy every 3 days, it'll never stick unless you're really lucky, right? Stay on the course and keep improving, right? Keep pumping out content, keep recording things, try to understand why some of your videos are working, some of your videos are not working, improve, delete. Keep reiterating your content plan, but give it time. Be patient and gather data. That is the most important part for this section, right? Final note, if you get to the point where you've been posting consistently day in, day out for 6 weeks straight and still you haven't been able to visibly see improvements, so you were here 1,000 views per reel, day 0, and then week 0, week 6, you're still at 1,000 views, then and only then fully change your strategy, because you've picked the wrong variables. After 6 weeks, maybe it's time to change. But before then, from weeks 0 to 6, stay to the course and genuinely keep pushing out content. Keep at it, record it, and out of all the advice that I've given you in this is the thing that will keep you improving. This is the most valuable thing in this entire video. Implement the stuff that I've given you, take it, run with it, use your positive feedback, understand what works, use your feedback, let time and latency do its work, and I promise you, you will fucking see results. Ending this off, there are agencies that just say, well, let's use AI reels, or get our girl to do this dance, or wow, okay, let's dress her up as a nurse for Halloween, it'll be great. I tell you now, they're the ones that only become successful because their models have some sort of special asset going with their massive tits, ass, or pretty face. They're not as clever as they'd seem. I think the real skill when it comes to content is to turn anyone with a good work ethic and is locked in to a top earning creator. So on that note, harness the information that I've given you on this video, because like I said in the beginning, this is the result of thousands invested into learning, and this shit is free. I'm giving it to you for free. This is the best that you're getting out of me without a genuinely tailored approach to your content. And I really put my time and effort into doing just that for our high table creators. So on that note, click the link in the description of this video to get some actual one-to-one advice, and let's see where it goes. If you got value from that video, make sure to like and comment down below what you learned. Check the links in the description to see more content by me and the team. And lastly, subscribe because I'm fucking handsome.